I'm gonna send you another link.
Okay.
Can you hear that thunder?
No.
Oh, no. So let me put this. Where should I put this? I'll put it in the chat and send it.
Cool name.
So my idea.
You approve?
Approved.
Okay.
So the cool thing with this, actually, what you're seeing in Google, actually, I think I can turn off the screen share because now we're both looking at the same thing. But
yeah,
the other thing that I've added is a kind of a waveform so that you can see kind of my speech creating a waveform and then yours creating a different one.
I don't know what a waveform is.
Do you know when you see like an audio app recording and you see those little kind of little wave pattern?
Oh, yeah.
So I added something like that to kind of emphasize when I'm talking.
One person's talking or the other person's talking. Okay.
Yeah. So
one, two, 1, 2. Oh, yeah, I see. Like around the circle, it like highlights the circle.
Well, no, it's not on the screen, but it'll be in the recording. So I'll just send you a screenshot of what it looks
like. Okay.
In the recording, yeah, because I can't also share it. I mean, I can, but it's just another. Okay, I'm just gonna record a very quick example talk just so that your waveform there moves a little bit.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And then I'll send you that. But yeah. So basically, it's just a visual feedback for who's talking because we're not going to have our faces in the video.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I looked at some other options of like having like a character. Like there's like all these like little
avatars,
like an avatar, or like there's even 3D little characters that will use your webcam, so it'll copy your facial expression.
Right.
So I think it's overkill because I think we want to keep I don't know. We'll play with it in the future, but for now it was. Let me just send you. I do want you to just see what it looks like. And all right. And yeah, and so I created that little script so we can kind of go through some questions, maybe draw a little bit, and then see what
is the script. Remind me where you sent it to me.
I think I sent it in WhatsApp, but I can't
find it on WhatsApp, or maybe cognitive firewall. No.
How far back here? So cognitive firewall is another thing. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well. All right, let me just share that again. Let me open it here.
Okay, let me see the video you just sent. Oh, I see. Can you make the movement more noticeable?
Yeah, I can make it bigger, but I wonder. Yeah, I was kind of thinking like how to not make it distracting too. Like I think. What do you think?
I think it's good for visual people
to make it a little bit distracting.
More distracting. I mean, more movement.
Yeah, that's what I say. But then,
yeah, do it.
Then I feel like normal people, they go like, "Oh, why is it moving so much?" See, and this is maybe like you and I communicate. Here's another crazy thing about the autism. One of the studies shows that the main qualifier for autism is that you have trouble communicating, but all the studies are generally showing that it's trouble communicating, but they're comparing the autistic people with trying to communicate with normal people. Whatever it is.
Cisgender.
Cisbrained. So apparently when you get autistic people communicating with other autistic people, the communication barrier is much smaller. In some studies it's not really there, so it's almost like communication breakdown is between the neurodivergent and the non-divergent people, but then it's like, well, whose fault is it in that case? Because then you could say it's just as much the non-divergent people having an issue communicating with the divergent people. And then I went on such a, let me pull up a little bit the kind of the script concept, because otherwise I'm going to get lost in this autism concept.
Yeah.
But I think maybe it's part of it, because I was even thinking like, you know, some of my experiences like with meditation, even with insight seminars, even with jujitsu. Like, here's another one, funny one. You know, like Craig Jones always has that joke, like you need to be autistic to be good in jujitsu. And I remember seeing those and being like, oh, I wish I was autistic. Maybe I'd be better at jujitsu, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, but I'm actually, maybe it's part of the reason I'm good at jujitsu.
So good at it.
But I'm not that good as a really autistic person, you know. But
They're not. You're not the Craig Jones.
Minimal.
You're not, or Gordon Ryan.
I'm not a Gordon Ryan level, or Mikey Musumeci level.
Yeah.
But I got the bit of autism that it gives me an edge. I mean, I definitely have it. I do notice, like, I do have an edge over a lot of people. They're looking at moves and then they try to do them, and I'm like, even a move I've never done, I'm like, I'll see it, I'll do it. So
that's why that's from now on. That's what I'm gonna say. I suck at jujitsu.
You're like, I got too little tism.
I'm too autistic. Untistic.
Untistic.
I'm untistic.
It's untastic. You're untastic. We're fantastic.
I'm fantastic.
But maybe you are a bit tistic, Peter. Maybe I shouldn't use your name. Are we going with code names for this faceless?
Yeah. What code name?
So I have code names here. Do you want to look at what I sent you?
Yeah. Where is it?
Okay. I put it in the WhatsApp. I can actually plop it over here so everyone can see.
No, I'm looking at it. I'm looking. Okay, you can do that. Yeah.
Let's see because actually we'll get to see what it looks like if I drop a bunch of text in here. Oh, look at this. So chess match stream. That's kind of The concept is I'm like a techie hacker nerd, and you're a coach.
Okay.
You're an executive coach, business kind of mind,
consultant. Yep.
So
transformational leadership,
and then we're gonna have this kind of, and then I have more things here. So your pseudonym for executive coach suggested by AI would be Sloan, and then I'd be Wrench.
I'm Sloan. I like Sloan.
Sloan and Wrench. You're a top tier, and then I'm a hacker. I'm a Wrench. I'm a hacker Wrench.
All right.
I could be like, I think there's some other options here. Atlas and Bit, Vance and Proxy, and the director and the engineer. There we go. Labels.
Let's do Sloan. Less ego.
You like Sloan?
Yeah.
I kind of like Bit. There's also Kernel, Line, Substrate, Ghost, the hacker Ghost. Minion.
So okay, so what? So there's Sloan. What else? How about Coach? Just Coach.
No, you want to be Coach? You can be Coach.
Coach and the hacker. Why not just keep it like that?
Coach and hacker. Keep it as labels. Coach and hacker.
The coach and the hacker.
Coach and hacker. A coach and a hacker. Yeah.
Okay. Coach and a hacker.
That's actually, I like that.
And do you have the tea leaves?
Tea leaves? What was that?
Yeah.
Oh, the tea leaf. So
to pull the subject, the headlines.
Yeah. So here, I mean, what I was thinking to do here is basically kind of live pull out the headlines.
Okay.
So that it's not like a scripted thing. It's just like live. I basically just
we just talk about whatever's an issue.
Yeah, well, if I read some headlines that stuck, but if not, I can just like go, straight up X or Google News and just be like, here's the headlines like right now,
Yeah. Okay. So we have, I like ground news. Do you know what ground news is?
Yeah.
So I just looking at ground news. U.S. Supreme Court upholds birthright citizenship, blocks Trump order. So what that means is that Trump wanted to remove birthright citizenship, which means, and I know people from the third world that do this, your wife is pregnant or you're pregnant, and so what you do, you use your tourist visa, you travel to the U.S. when you're 6 months and 3 weeks pregnant, and then you have your baby in the U.S., which automatically gives the child the citizenship. So the United
Right.
States and, the old world doesn't do this, as far as I know, in Europe, if I go and have a baby in Europe, my baby is not of that country,
Automatically.
right?
Uh-huh.
Automatically because of birthright. So what's it called? Jus sanguinis, which is blood. In other words, you get the citizenship of your blood, of your parent, of your mom. And the other one is jus solis, which is earth, the land you're born in, right?
Right.
So, it's an interesting concept because, I think one of the things that is driving my thought process more and more, the conclusion that there's no real solutions, there's only trade-offs, right? So what do I mean by that? There's advantages to having birthright citizenship, and then there's disadvantages. I think the advantages are you get to increase your population. You get people that by and large are integrated into the culture. If the mom is willing to spend her last, month and a half of pregnancy in a separate country, instead of with her people, and go through the expense of having a baby in the US and all that stuff, that means that there's some level of commitment. That would be the plus, the pros. The cons, on the other hand, have to do with, in my estimation, at least, has to do with welfare. I think immigration is great, but when you put welfare into the mix, it's not so great, because then you're making native populations pay for immigrant populations, and the native populations are affected negatively. For example, let's say schools, right? So if you have your kid in school, but then the school your kid is in is mostly recently immigrated, first generation immigrants, maybe second generation. A lot of them don't speak English as a first language or whatnot. Then that's siphoning funds from the school system to handle these kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. Or what I've heard happens in Canada. You have East Africans gaming the system. The welfare system, and so they're getting paid to not work.
Right. Or by having a certain amount of kids, you're getting like a certain payment per kid.
Right, or getting subsidy per kid, exactly.
Making it work.
And then that's a whole other can of worms. What seems to be in Islamist resistance to westernization. So for example, it's, this is what I've experienced. You have in the US, you had, Germans and Swedes and Irish and Italians and Russians and Jews, and you had all sorts of Europeans emigrate to the United States over the last 150 years, let's say, and they all immigrated. Like the comedian Carlos Mencia would say, I was like, Thanksgiving, in the Mexican household, you have turkey with tamales, and in the Russian, they have turkey with borscht or whatever, right?
Right.
But they're American, they're Russian American, they're whatever. But it seems to be, and, I might be wrong, but it seems to be that the Islamic, a certain percentage, a significant, at least 25% or whatever of Islamic immigration into the US does not integrate, does not westernize, let's say. And then you have the Islamists that actually not only do not want to westernize, but they want to implement religious law, Sharia law in the West. And this is happening already. And I've seen videos in Spain, and I've seen videos in Sweden, and I've seen videos in the UK, and I've seen videos in Belgium also, where, I was like, no, we do Sharia law here. Your laws don't apply here.
Once there's enough of them in one place, then
the cops, and then everybody's so afraid of being accused of being a racist, which is in part the reason why, I'm using a pseudonym in this conversation, because I don't think myself as a racist.
But yeah,
And then, but then even bringing up, even discussing these things, it's like this thing that had recently happened in the UK where this young kid was stabbed by a Pakistani, but Muslim guy. When the police showed up, they were so afraid of being judged. These are Gen Z cops. They were so afraid of being labeled as racist that they actually put the kid that was stabbed and bleeding out in handcuffs, and he bled out, which is, part of this whole backlash that's going on in Europe.
So we went from the Supreme Court thing to the UK stabbing, and then to this also this I guess the link to certain cultures or religions being more or less willing to integrate. Because I mean, I guess the way I think about it is, for sure, from I'll say from let's use this hacker perspective. If a country offers you benefits, why not? Like, why not take advantage of all the benefits that you're offered, right? And then so from that sense, the parents that are looking for how they might immigrate to the US or to Canada or to one of these countries, if they know that that's one of the ways is basically getting pregnant and then timing their vacation so that they can have the baby on the soil and then somehow use that to get access, they're hacking the system, so to speak, for a benefit that they're after.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a question of, do you put in rules in place to protect from people doing it intentionally? Like, is it a question of intentionality? Like, if they do it intentionally, it's not accepted, and if it's unintentional, or I don't know. But I mean, having a baby kind of shouldn't be that unintentional anyway. So
I think it makes absolute sense to want to give your child as many advantages as possible on multiple levels. So there's a biological, genetic, just that genetic level, giving your child, as many advantages compared to all of their peers so that they triumph biologically, meaning they have healthy kids that reproduce in their own turn, right? So giving a quote unquote good passport to your offspring is a huge advantage. We all know people that have struggled to, investing a lot of energy and money and time and anxiety to try to get residence in the country that is not their country of origin, So by giving them a passport, again, arguably one of the best passports, the U.S. passport, then it's like a no-brainer, right? And then there's also affective or emotional advantage. I mean, there's the biological imperative to give your offspring advantages, but then there's also affective ones. It's like even if biologically would mean just looking at it at that objective, make sure my genes pass on generation to generation. But then when you love your child, which is almost always the case, is like, no, I want their life to be as easy as possible. I think that that's a mistake, but I think that that's the initial drive. I've seen, as a coach, I've seen many, many instances of the people that bust their ass to make something of themselves, and they paid a big price to do it. And then they want to save their children from the suffering that they went through. But then the children are unequipped to sustain, much less grow, the inheritance, so to speak. Hence the, from rags to riches in 3 generations thing, back to rags. Yeah, that's a little parentheses there. The appropriate approach, I believe, would be to give your kid is consistent challenges just outside their comfort zone so that they grow, but not to the point where it's overwhelming, right? But anyways, back to the birthright citizenship thing. Oh, something you said made me think. It all has to do with incentives, right? So right now there's been some fraud being uncovered in Minnesota and in California, and I think hopefully this is part of a wave. I hope it starts uncovering Because there's always going to be sociopathic and narcissistic behavior, probably in most human beings, right? So we all have the capacity to be narcissistic, sociopathic, sadistic, and Machiavellian, the dark tetrad, right? And we're all in different ranges of it, and and there's things that I've done that I'm not proud of, and I think that I've been able to correct. But I think that the incentives,
What was that word they used? Tetrite?
tetrad, the dark
Tetrad?
tetrad, triad, dyad, right?
Tetrad.
A dyad is 2, triad is 3,
So
tetrad
the
is
dark,
4.
it's a dark,
Traits.
the dark
They're
tetrad.
personality traits. They're called the dark tetrad. They're narcissism, which is looking at everything, just how it affects me. Sociopathy being a lack of empathy. Machiavellianism is manipulation of others to my own means. And what was the fourth one? Machiavellianism, sociopathy. Oh, sadism, which is to take pleasure in other people's suffering, right? So, but there's some of us in society. I read a book a long time ago called the Sociopath Test. And if I recall correctly, the book postulates that 6% of society is sociopathic. And there's no correction. So some of the people in the book argue that you should just test kids, and if they're sociopaths, put them in a special sociopath island or something, just a bunch of sociopaths sociopathing against each other and protecting the rest of society, And I think that that correlates with other metrics that I've read. I was like 80% of crime is done by 6% of the population, or 2%, 1 or 2% of the population do 80% of the murders, all that kind of thing, right?
Right.
So I think that if you have any system that can be gamed, is going to be gamed by the sociopaths or the dark tetrad people.
It's going to attract some gamers, some people that want to take advantage.
Parasites. Yeah. And then that brings me to another thing I heard and really studied it, on how all ecosystems have parasites,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, the reason
that can be manipulated.
Yeah, so biologically, all biological ecosystems have parasites. That's a strategy for life, to live off the producers. So a parasite, this may not be the technical definition, but my understanding of a parasite is somebody that latches, or an organism, let's say, that latches onto another organism and leaches its resources. So instead of producing their own protein or producing their own energy sources, they just suck off the energy sources of those that do, right?
Yeah, I got a definition here. I'm gonna paste it into the screen.
Draw.
Let's see if we can make it look. A parasite. See, I'm still trying to figure out how to do this. Still gotta learn how to manipulate this a little bit better.
Yeah. So the parasite benefits from this relationship while the host is harmed, weakened, or deprived of vital nutrients. Is right. And apparently that's just, you're going to get them everywhere. So that means that producers need an anti-parasite strategy,
Yeah.
So do you know who Otzi was? Otzi man?
Otzi man? No.
Otzi, yeah. It was a mummy. He was found, I think, frozen as a glacier in northern Italy between Trento and the Austrian border.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very, very conserved in his clothes and his weapons, and he had an injury, but they found that he had herbs. He was taking herbs for parasites, right? And this guy's, this corpse is 6,000 years old or whatever,
But they also buried him with the herbs, or just that he had.
No. He died. He was being chased apparently. Otzi, it's an O with a double dot on top. Diaresis, I think it's called in some languages.
Can't get this to look right here.
Otzi, the Iceman. Yeah, just look up Otzi, the Iceman. Tough looking cookie, white dude. Similon, Tyrolean Iceman is a natural mummy of a man who lived between 3350 and in 3105 BC. 5,000-year-old mummy. Did you find him?
Yeah, I found him. Let's throw him. Let's see how the image thing works if I copy this
He
image.
looks like a
and throw it
badass.
Scala drop. Oh, that looks pretty good. All right, that's pretty easy. Throwing a picture in there.
Yeah, so that's his after, and this is am I able to post some? Yeah,
Yeah, you can just
yeah, right there. Boom. Yeah, it was pretty tight, But anyways, he had some herbs in his pouch for parasites, and they found parasites in his intestines.
Yeah, I think these, in a lot of ways, the caveman. I mean, was he considered a caveman or what?
No, I'll tell you.
Iceman. Europe's oldest mummy.
Semolin man. Semilon man. Semilon man. Or Tyrolean Itzy. Yeah,
they redid his face. Very interesting.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm thinking is how we're rarely educated on how to deal with the parasites. It's not part of the curriculum, right?
Yeah, the regular curriculum doesn't mention that it's important. It's important in life.
So there's an amazing book, like one of the best books I've ever read. It's called The Sovereign Individual. The Sovereign Individual by James Dale Davidson and Lord William Rees-Mogg. Amazing book, like really, like one of the best ever. And it has many takeaways. I'm gonna put the link in here. Yeah, right here. And put it right up in there. And so many takeaways. And one of them uses the comparison of the Catholic Church from, let's say, 4th or 5th century, right up until about 1,000 years, right? So for a bunch of years, at least 500, 600, 700 years, the Catholic Church was a cohesive force that advanced society, right? So it uses same laws, these religious laws, same language, Latin, the same, science, and it developed science, it developed commerce, it developed peacefulness, diplomacy, a bunch of things thanks to the Catholic Church, right? And that helped society grow back from the recession post the collapse of the Roman Empire. But then it became a parasite. Instead of contributing, it was just siphoning off the land and siphoning off the serfs and just living off of, it stopped being a producer and started being a taker, right? And then there was the rise of the nation states, let's say after the illustration, let's say the 1700s, nation states for the first time appear, Italy and then France and the US and the UK and whatnot. And a political class arose. Before it was aristocratic, right? But then a political class arose. Machiavelli, maybe being one of the greatest examples of that. And then the political class, the state, became the developer of society, the driver for innovation and cohesion and peace and well-being and whatnot. But then eventually the state became a parasite as well on the productive parts of society, which is where we are right now. And this book, The Sovereign Individual, basically says how technology is changing all that. How the gatekeepers, used to be, the state. They would give you a license or not. If you wanted to have a TV station or a radio station or anything, you needed a license given to you by the government, right? But with technology, then, that's out the window, What happened with Twitter and Elon Musk buying it, is a good example of that, how the state was pressuring Twitter to censor, not only Twitter and all the other ones. And then, Elon Musk, because he, probably saved us, from accelerated totalitarianism. So the incentives, go back to the incentives, right?
All right, let me slide back.
So if you have incentives to milk the system, then you're going to milk the system. If the incentive is to honor life, liberty, and property, or whatever, and that's what you're going to get. But then politicians are always eventually going to use other people's money to buy votes, which is, I believe, what the issue is in the US. I think that's why Trump wanted to eliminate birthright citizenship, because it's a way to get people. It's like people go to the US because they find it gives them more opportunities than their home countries. But
Right.
then people instead of adopting what made, let's say, the US the best place for them, economically speaking, at least, what they do is that they import their bad paradigms, or their paradigms that cause poverty and all that stuff, which is what made them want to leave in the first place. Right.
Well, I think that connects back to the debate that you were saying with, the Muslim population in the UK, that, they love their countries probably for war and violence and corruption. And then when they
and poverty, mostly, I believe, I might be
maybe
wrong.
just poverty, realistically.
Yeah. I believe that the Pakistani is poverty. I'm not an expert, but I believe the Pakistani immigration into the UK is poverty. The African, also poverty. The Afghani, the Syrian war, right?
Right.
But when you say war, you also mean poverty, if you think about it.
Well, poverty, it's one of the, poverty and corruption are big parts of the aftermath of war, for sure.
And they're also a part of the preamble to war. War sucks, right? So why would you risk life and limb? Because things need to be pretty bad.
Yeah, people need to be willing to pick up a gun and march.
When we get shot at,
Get shot at. They're willing, exactly. Gun or no gun, they're willing to get shot at.
By the way, I saw something yesterday. I saw a couple things yesterday online which blew my mind, which are like a major moral gray area. Or maybe not even gray, dark gray. One is Ukrainians. The Ukrainians, they invented these drones that will kill individuals. And I've seen some videos and they're pretty sad. You're this soldier, is conscript, trying to run away from a drone that's chasing them into the bushes and then blowing itself up and blowing the person up, right? And you're trying to you're firing your rifle at a drone, which is really fucking hard in the best of cases, to hit a moving target with a bullet. If you're scrambling on your all fours, it's even worse. So what I read yesterday is that Ukrainians are letting regular kids around the world fly the drones.
What is regular kids around the world?
Like, are you a good drone operator? Here, we'll give you controls from your computer. You can control our drone and take out a Russian.
Okay, I gotta look into that. I gotta bring my, because that doesn't really sound feasible.
Okay, good. So that's one. And then the other thing I saw yesterday, which blew my mind, is apparently Somali pirates are a thing again, right? So that there's a Russian service, right? You get on a boat, it's like a fancy yacht, and you go trolling Somali waters, attracting Somali pirates. And then on the boat, before you get to Somalia, you get trained, you get weapons training, you have some high-end operators on the boat, Russian, special forces dudes. So basically, you're pretending to be an innocent fancy yacht. You're attracting pilots, and then you get to shoot at them and maybe kill them and blow up their skiffs, their little motorboats or whatever, for fun. So as you get to legitimately kill a pirate, the human being, by pretending to be a good catch and then attracting them and then blowing them to bits.
Jesus.
Yeah, fucked up. And it's promoted like for bachelor parties and stuff like that.
Oh my God. There's a movie that came out I saw recently. It was like that. It was like a bachelor party in Hungary, in like Budapest. Yeah. Did you see? I think it's called, what is it called? It's bachelor party. It's like a French. I think it's French movie. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, they're like, yeah, here it is. It's called Budapest, 2018. So it's been out for a while, I guess, 2018.
Okay.
And yeah, so they basically, I mean, it's like it's kind of like a French, The Hangover, like they kind of took that kind of style to it. But yeah, at some point, they're like shooting at targets and they're shooting RPGs and stuff. And then the guy who's running the thing is like, do you want to shoot a human? Like, do you want to hunt like we can get you a real guy, for whatever, for like a few $100 or whatever he says in the movie, and they're like, no, but then they're like, wait, should we do it? Like it's so dark. So there's the other thing, the scandal around Kosovo. Let me see here, Kosovo, Italian company. So it was basically some kind of company working through Italy that would bring very high net worth clients and basically give them training and give them a sniper, and they would set them up in these places in Kosovo to basically shoot at people.
Wow. Yeah,
so that
I remember.
last year, Kosovo company. What is it called? Like tourism? I don't know. Sniper tourism. Like what do you even see? Italy probes claim tourists paid to go to Bosnia to kill, Sarajevo. Sniper tourism scandal. Wealthy foreigners allegedly paid large sums of money to Bosnian Serb forces to shoot trapped in Sarajevo. So the allegation was it was 100,000 euros, and it was sparked by a documentary called Sarajevo Safari,
right,
by Slovenian director Miran Zupanic.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
So there's I guess there's some denial. There's some denial that's an urban myth.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fucked up. I mean, it's super fucked up. There's a movie that is apparently #1 on Prime and others right now, and it's called Citizen Vigilante. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I heard of it. I haven't watched it though.
Started watching it. It's pretty badly written. It's pretty amateur, infantile. It's not very nuanced or interesting. But it tapped into real anger and real resentment, and it's about basically this guy that goes around kind of setting right the injustices of the woke policies. So some guy raped but got off for a few months, and then he kills that guy, and then he kills a judge that let off the dude that the drug dealer. So he's like taking revenge in the name of everybody, and then Germany banned the movie, so Elon Musk put it for free on X.
Oh, Germany banned it? Damn.
Yeah.
Actually, now I'm curious if I can put a video directly in Excalibur. It should actually. Yeah. I think we could put the trailer in. I don't know how. Here it is. Boom. Oh, look at that. It does bring the video right in. Look at that. Click to interact.
Can you play it?
Can you hear it?
I cannot.
You are all being used.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah.
Vigilantes.
That's a trailer, right?
And of justice that some believe the authorities
are you moving it?
to provide.
Yeah, I'm making it bigger.
And those in power accused of allowing crime to flourish unchecked.
A lot said about me, so I thought you should hear directly from me, here to help you take that control back. State, court, police. Do you think that they've failed you? But they haven't. Now they only exist. Control justice.
Yeah. So this is the link where you can watch it for free on.
A real hero.
Did you pause it? Did I pause it?
I did not. You paused it. I did not pause it.
Cool.
So, anyways, that's one guy, but Elon Musk posted it just to get around the censorship.
I mean, it's an interesting idea, the whole vigilante, hitman thing. Yeah. And it's a question. I guess it is a question of breaking point, but I think it also creates or perpetrates this idea that there's a hero out there that will go and do vigilante, missions.
Justice, yeah.
As in, we could wait for that hero to, surface rather than fixing the system that, should be fixed, not through vigilanteism or through,
Well,
so
that's the thing, right? That's the thing. The thing is, it's just so frustrating because when the state doesn't use its capacity to initiate violence. That's what the state is. That's the one thing the state is the one piece of society, the only part of society that can legitimately initiate violence, right?
Right.
So when the state doesn't do that, doesn't use that faculty correctly to protect individuals' life, liberty, and property, then it's so frustrating. It generates frustration because the only way then to do so is by breaking the law and putting at risk one's own liberty and treasure, right?
Right. And generally, either people who know how to break the law, who are already criminals, a hitman in this case, or someone who lost everything and is now willing to become a criminal to at least,
To lose,
come back.
nothing to lose kind of thing. Yeah. So, it's a trip,
Well, that's once everything fails, I guess it's, from there, once everything fails, then, it's a whole other conversation. It's not a sensical conversation. It's, everyone kind of just
Right.
does what works. And then at that point, once people are willing to break the law for revenge, in my mind, then it becomes a thin line to, break the law to just get ahead, or just, and then it creates a much bigger environment of corruption, in my mind. I think that's some countries that are kind of in that world where people don't really see a good way of, creating wealth or whatever. So gangs or corruption or political corruption is the go-to way.
Yeah. And then, how government tends to attract the wrong type of person.
Government or politics, or are you saying government in general, bureaucrats?
Well, who goes into government, right? Generally speaking, people that don't, and let me put it this way, people that want to live and let live, generally are not attracted to public life. Oh, here, I got an interesting story. So a friend of mine got invited to a party at Robert Kiyosaki's house. Okay.
Okay.
And this friend of mine is a blonde Mexican, speaks perfect English, and he's Jewish. Okay. So he met somebody at the party, and a couple of weeks afterwards, he gets a call from this person. He says, "Hey, we met at the party, and I represent a Republican political action committee." I don't know if you know what a PAC is.
Right. Yeah.
A PAC is just people pooling money to support the candidates that are going to support the policies of the people funding the PAC, right? The Political Action Committee. So I represent a Republican Political Action Committee, and we think you would be a great candidate. I want to say for mayor, maybe not mayor, but for mayor of Phoenix or whatever, right? And my friend says, "No, dude, I'm a Democrat. I don't subscribe to Republican." This was 10 years ago or more, right? And the guy said, "But wait, don't just hear me out. The reason why we want you is because you're white, but you're also Mexican. That means we can get the Hispanic vote, but you're also Jewish, so we can get the Jewish vote, So you'd be a great candidate. And so we would be giving you $10,000 a month, tax-free, just to take the edge off, right? And after your tenure is done, after you're finished being the mayor, we guarantee you speaking engagements worth, I want to say $200,000 a year of speaking engagements for life, kind of thing, right?" So basically, setting him up for life. And we will tell you what the policy is. So you don't have to, you don't have to think about anything. We'll tell you what to do and what to vote for and what to promote and what laws to promulgate and what policies to enforce and all that stuff. So my friend, he's an agent for actors and actresses and stuff in town. So he told one of his clients, who's a fairly well-known person, and this person is like, "Oh, those Republicans are so corrupt, blah, 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 blah," this proof of what I've always suspected, right? Until approximately a year later, this famous person, I know the name of this person, I just don't want to mention it, was living in Santa Monica, California, and he gets approached by a Democrat Political Action Committee saying, listen, we would like you to run for mayor. The current mayor is a Democrat, but we don't like him, so we want to substitute him with a different Democrat. And since you're famous, we think that you'd be a shoo-in. And they introduced him to who would be his staff, right? His cabinet. And they said, listen, because this person is very into animal rights, said, imagine if you're the mayor, you can forbid puppy farms and puppies and goose liver in restaurants, and you could, ensure that little puppies don't get their ears cut, So it works that way on both sides. They figure out what your thing is, right? If it's money, if it's animal rights, if it's whatever your thing is, and then they get you into power, and then they control you. They control the narrative. They do what they want. They don't do. So it's like it's a very corrupted system, and yet it's still the least bad, probably, right? Arguably, there's some exceptions. Arguably, Singapore, my understanding is that Singapore is a dictatorship. Some people think El Salvador is a dictatorship, even though, he won with 90% of the vote or whatever, Bukele, So again, there's no solutions, only trade-offs.
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 Yeah, well, that might be one of the ways we can also organize, just kind of.
That could be the name. That could be the name of the thing.
Only trade-offs?
Only trade-offs.
Or no solutions?
Only trade-offs. And
No
we can
solutions.
discuss the pros and cons and what the trade-offs are.
Be the podcast, the No Solutions podcast, only trade-off.
No solutions, only trade-offs. By the way, that's Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is an economist, still alive. He's a black guy in his 80s, maybe close to 90. Still mentally sharp, very, very wise, in my opinion. So does it seem like a natural place to complete?
Yeah, so I kind of came back to the script, the little format concept here.
Okay.
So the tea leaves goes into a bit of a chess match on a deeper topic. We kind of weigh in, and then we could, in the future, go into, building a little, I don't know, a little diagram or a little app or a little something you're moving it around.
All right. I'm trying to make it bigger because for some reason I'm only at 10%.
But you can zoom in with your.
I know. That's what I was trying to do.
So you can zoom in.
Okay, now I've got it. Okay, so how do we wrap it up?
Yeah, so what else did I have here? Monetization path, production notes. Well, we can just wrap it up for now.
All right, let's wrap it up for now. Takeaways.
Is just I guess to get people thinking. We can go into the models for between just talking about experiences and headlines and into how to
I want to invite people to comment and make counter arguments, shake the tree. What are the blind spots that I'm demonstrating, that we're demonstrating, because that could trigger further conversation, because I would like to say that my intention is to discover truth, right? In order to create more peace, right?
Discover truth to create more peace.
To create more peace.
From Koach.
From Koach, yeah. All right, Hacker?
All right.
So rate yourself, how you're feeling, how you're being, 0 to 10.
Myself right now, how I'm being and feeling.
Well, yeah, with this experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good starting point. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so yeah, I'll put it right up there. 9.5, 9.99.
Yeah, 9.10. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I think by starting, because it's just something that I think always was missing a little something, or we're gonna get feedback.
Quite perfect.
Yeah, we'll be able to iterate on it. But
yeah. So if you're listening, comment, subscribe, smash that subscribe. But comment, just give us feedback. We're very interested in feedback. We want to learn, want to do it better and better and better.
Yeah, and the video, the audio, the
audio,
in the background. So yeah, let's get some feedback. Let's see who we send it out to, if we do, and then how we get the platform what platform we put it on and that kind of thing. So all
That's
kind of
right.
other
All
questions.
platforms. All platforms.
But for now, we just got this video, this little
Yeah.
video. So
Yeah, see if you can AI it, have AI edit and post and all that goodies.
yeah, we'll definitely cut out ums and uhs and silence, and
Mhm.
yeah, I'll see how else I can make it, more digestible.
Mhm.
And yeah, we'll go from there.
Super duper.
All right. To
All
the
right.
next one.